what's his name, who ran into the cage head first. It wasn't BJ. We thought it was BJ Penn when we had that conversation before, and it's what's his name, Jeremy Stevens. He just runs full bollocks and just bounces off.
Yeah,
that's a fucking adrenaline dump.
Fucking Mark Coleman tries to do it. He tries to he runs at the ropes in Pride when he won the Grand Prix.
His daughters are there during that.
He tries to climb up and falls through the ropes and stuff.
But does he spectacularly, right? It's not just like he goes, just slipped. He's fully out the ring, then back in. Yeah.
There you go. That's the video. Fucked up celebrations. Celebrations gone wrong. You got Johnny Walker doing his shoulder as well.
When he was body popping?
When he was doing the caterpillar.
Yeah, he had surgery and
fucked his shoulder up. He's got a good scar from it now.
He's got a good excuse to not be winning anymore, hasn't he?
Oh, dude,
I beat myself.
Yeah, I think he's the kind of fighter that would be affected by there being no crowd, though.
Yeah, man. Especially at UFC Brasilia. Look at it. Like Johnny Walker, I think he overlooks a lot of people. Or not overlooks. He understandably believes in himself.
I think that he looks a lot different physically than when I saw him in Argentina. So when I saw him fight in Argentina, he was very scary, like big,
jacked,
big.
Before he fought in the UFC.
No, this was like his UFC fight. I think it was his UFC debut. He was big, like scary, giant. Like I saw him and I was just like.
So what you're saying is that they've switched him for someone else?
I mean,
is it Johnny Walker. I think we've found a conspiracy.
No,
here.
because so I saw him in Brasilia, and the times that I saw him, when he fought Corey Anderson, I saw him so thin. You know, I physically he doesn't look the same. He doesn't look the same as what he did. And I know when he fought against Corey Anderson, he was in Russia, and I was over that gym in Russia. And, I don't think he should have been in that gym. I don't think he should have been training there. And I just feel like he's very lost, and that is something I can understand. He doesn't find a place to train, and I feel like a lot of fighters are going through that they don't find a gym that. There are a lot of great gyms, but sometimes you go to these gyms and they don't really pay attention to you.
You see it happen a lot.
What do I have to do for you to pay attention to me? You know, I don't have 4 or 5 years to basically be kissing your ass until you see that I'm worth something. You know, I have a fight in 2 months. I don't have time. So you desperately go searching, and then you have coaches and people who promise you the earth and then everything, and you go to places. But what I feel with Johnny Walker is that just from, I personally, I don't know him, right? I can tell you as a spectator, as someone as a fan, I just don't see him physically the same way that I saw him personally in Argentina.
But is that slightly down to maybe the hunger and how he dismantled his first 2 or 3 opponents? Did he go from?
No, I don't think it has to do with hunger or anything. It's just maybe just a different physical training, or maybe a lot of the times, you just go oh, I don't need so much conditioning. I need more technique, or my wrestling's lacking, and I'll put this to the side because this is more important. So you prioritize different things, and then you lose the essence of what makes you so special, right? Sometimes this happens to me a lot. Sometimes I try to work so much on my weakness that things that I'm good at, they start to lack, and I'm no longer good at them, and then I'm just ending up with
But that's the vicious circle though, because I can attribute that slightly to having a good wife. Basically, I wouldn't do shit. I wouldn't get up in the morning. I wouldn't get up. I wouldn't have jet washed the yard. I wouldn't have painted the shed if it wasn't for Stace. So she's the person that drives me to do that. If she one day decided, fuck this, I'm done, then I would be a hermit. You can come and see me, I'll be here, but basically she is the one who runs everything for us. So if you've got a good management, or a good, even if it's a coach, you look at someone like
everything goes both ways. That's saying loyalty. Everything goes both ways. You know, and I see this a lot in relationships. Like sometimes people have like downfalls, and instead of being like, well, you look like shit now, I'm gonna go fuck somebody else. Like, hey, why don't you try like, like lifting that person's spirit? Why don't you try like making them feel better, lifting them up, and like being a support for them until they can like, kind of do that for themselves. So if like, let's say, like, I think it muted. Did it mute?
Yeah, so that's the thing. That's the vicious circle of having the good support network in the best and the worst scenario. So in the good times and the bad times, no matter if you've won, lost, drawn. I mean, I always use Wayne at fourth as a great example because he's a straight sociopath. Me and him get on really fucking well. I love the guy to bits, but his training style is superb for people that react well to that training style. If you don't, then your opinion of him is going to be much different to what mine is. And I think when you see people like you say, like Johnny Walker, that probably I've seen a few different places where he's been training, but it's never been like Masvidal's American Top Team. Do you know what I mean? Like, that he's got that relationship there, and it's not just.
Yeah, but Masvidal is not the Masvidal that like he is now compared to like what he was before. Nobody was paying the same attention to him now as he was before, and like
he's got the same people with him.
Like that, I've spoken to Dan before. He's just like, oh, you need to find good people around you. Like, you're lucky, dude, that you have great people around you that you love and take care of you and would do anything for, and vice versa. A lot of people don't have that. A lot of people don't have like, and it's true. Like, okay, well, how are you viewing things? How are you like, how are you interacting? Why are you letting those type of people? Like, sometimes you're just unlucky. Sometimes those people just cling on to you and you just can't get rid of them. But like I said, it's just a lot of things like have to do with luck. Like some people, like in New York, right? Like, let's say you just live right next to Marcelo Garcia and you can train and be champion, and or some people are born in the middle of freaking nowhere and they want to be like the best in jiu-jitsu and they can't.
Yeah.
So the same goes with friends and training partners and coaches and managers and people who care and support system and everything.
That's all. That comes down to that support network again, doesn't it? Because you have to put in as much as what you want to take out. And unfortunately, sometimes you invest a load of time into someone that you think you're putting the same in as they're putting in, and it takes 6 months to realize that you're working with a dickhead or that you're just incompatible. So unfortunately, you just have to kiss a lot of frogs until you find the right prince, if that makes sense. Because I mean, I know I've done jiu-jitsu with certain people and I fucking loved it when they were coaching. And then I've done it when other people were there and I wish that I'd faked an injury that week because I just don't gel with that.
The thing is, like, MMA is not like a nice, cruel, a nice sport where you can just do that. It's cruel. It's cruel. You have 2-3 fights a year, max 2-3 fights. And then if you lose, you're a piece of shit. That's the thing, though. And then it's just like everything that you do, like, let's say you don't get to find that people, right? Like, you're kissing like a bunch of frogs and you don't get to find these great people that help and support you, and then you lose a fight. But because like your support system's like bad and all of these problems, then you lose a fight, and then it's just like people aren't seeing that it's because of all this behind you.
Yeah.
That's the problem. That's the problem when fighters are at the UFC level and they've not found a settled gym. And I mean, Johnny Walker's fought out of different gyms pretty much every fight so far. Is it same thing with Kevin Lee though? When Rob Follis died, like he was lost for a little while, and it is difficult. Sometimes it takes a training camp or two to realize that that's not the right coach, and when you're at UFC level, is not the time to do that.
Yeah, people aren't very giving.
No, and with the thing is, I would say that I'm an MMA nerd to the point where all I've consumed for the past however long, I've genuinely been reviewing all of the UFCs from 1 to 100, and it got to like UFC 20, and I remember sitting up and watching it. So like at the time, I can remember when it was say only UFC 100, I felt that I wasn't committed enough because I hadn't seen the first. I'd seen them in Ultimate Knockouts, but I'd not been religiously watching them. Whereas now, I've seen fucking everything. But I always used to pick up on all of the other underlying shit. So, for example, Junior Dos Santos, burst onto the screen and was the fucking man. Okay. What happened was he came along. I think it was Stefan Struve. He finished first. Big knockout on an undercard. On a fucking undercard. It's like, was it UFC 94? Whatever the fuck it was. I'm not going to pretend I know. So JDS came along, did that, smashed up Kane. After that, you had a massive legal battle and court proceedings and divorce with his wife. But as a casual fan, you're sat there and you're seeing this latest brand new megastar that's got awesome hands and he's smashing the fuck out of everyone. And the problem is, it's not even the support that you don't get or you do get. It's the bit you said about feeling like a piece of shit because your fans are watching you and they're not checking on your mortgage payments. They're not checking on if your ex-wife is trying to fuck you over.
Oh, they go on Tapology.com and then they're like,
why the fuck did you lose, dickhead? You knocked him out in the first 10 seconds last time. Why don't you do that again? And that's been the bit that I've always overdosed on. I've always tried to get into understand how they're thinking and why they're thinking and doing things the way they do it. Because look at when Randy beat Chuck the first time. Okay? Randy beat Chuck the first time because he analysed what Chuck was doing and used it against him and beat him. That was, at the time, fucking bonkers. Like, that was never meant to happen. But the second time, divorce is a motherfucker at the minute because it was divorce that Randy was going through the second time when Chuck beat him. And it was Randy's stubbornness that was like, yeah, when he caught me that second time, the third time it's not going to happen. And in both of the fights where Chuck wins, Randy gets poked in the eye accidentally. So there's reasons, but there's always underlying shit that we like. No one's a robot. It's not like an automated number cruncher that we can just put in and go, oh, John Jones is going to win every time. Because there's a load of shit that goes on behind the scenes. But it's hard to try and understand what people are going through because ultimately fighters are human. You've got your own shit to worry about. You've got to ring up Vodafone and sort out your new contract. The same as you've got to go to the co-op and buy your own tuner. The same as you've got to go and put your shoes on yourself. Stupid shit.
And but coffee because somebody doesn't send me there.
I won't send you fuck all now. You can forget it. That's it. We're done. But it's true, you're right. And I don't know what the solution is because the thing is,
But if you think about it, like, that's the negative part of it, right? Like, that's the part where I can sit and moan and whine about it, right? Because it's things that, like, have personally happened to me, right? That I'm just like, I've had, like, shit outcomes and, like, a whole bunch of problems happen. But as a spectator and as a fan, that's the great part of the sport, how unpredictable it is. How things like if the personal life of the people, how much that matters.
Yeah.
And how much like if the fact that like they get in a fight with the nutritionist, were they following their diet? Did they make new friends that were like bad influences on them? All that plays a factor to like fights that don't even seem that like even can be even. So it's also like a great thing.
Yeah, well, it makes it the most exciting sport because I always used to liken it to wrestling. You get the hype of wrestling, a bit of a storyline, a bit of fucking argy-bargy, a bit of aggro, but you get the realism of boxing, but you don't have to wait 12 rounds to see someone get finished. That's how I used to try and break it down for someone. You get a load of fucking drama, and if it's the most boring fight in the world, the max it's going to be is 25 minutes. Deal with it. But you're right. You've got people even like, was it BJ Penn and Mike Dolce? Do you remember when BJ Penn... Was it when BJ fought GSP and he was using Mike Dolce, the Dolce diet, and he fell out with him? Or it was when he fought Diego? I can't remember. Or Nick Diaz. It might have been when he fought Nick Diaz. Nick fucking absolutely stomped the shit out of him, and he was blaming Mike Dolce for the weight cut. I think, I'm not saying that I'm right 100%, but something along them lines. But it kind of comes down to jobs. Like, your job doesn't change, but your workmates do. Like, I've had jobs where I have put in exactly the amount of effort that I'm putting in now to this job, and it was completely unappreciated. It was completely overlooked. Like, they didn't understand how my creative personality worked. It was a frustration and it was annoyance. Whereas now it's been honed into this thing that everything that people are getting, wearing, driving, dressing, that's coming from here because I've found my comfort zone. So, like you were saying to Dan earlier, he's surrounded by people that love him and care for him and all the rest of it. But he has had the Roy Nelsons and he has had the other different little bits and bobs where he sort of dropped in and it didn't kind of work. And that was like Was the Roy Nelson all 4 fights on the losing streak? Could have been, but it's finding that happy balance. But what can we do to try and make that transition better for more fights? Because all we're working on now is we're working on statistics. Sorry, my daughter's been drawing on a desk and it's fucking winding me up because I paid for this desk and she shouldn't be drawing on it. But what can we do to make it better? I even saw, is it Din Thomas? He left American Top Team the other day.
Did he really?
Yeah, because the higher these profile things get, the more explosive they are when they fuck up. Like when Cowboy left Winklejohn.
Yeah.
So Cowboy left Jackson Wink and Diego lost his mind. You're a fucking traitor. 2 months later, Diego fucking left. And you're like, look, you don't have to have that much of an opinion because it's like people that have babies and they have this a thing about, oh, we're going to fucking breastfeed him. They're not going to have a dummy. This is going to happen. That's going to happen. And they let you know their whole plan. But the minute that they have to revert to using a dummy or to giving them fucking formula, it's kind of their own fuck up because they've made such a big deal that they weren't going to do that. So you know, like when Diego lost his mind at Cowboy and was like, you're a fucking traitor. If he'd just kept his mouth shut and privately tweeted Cowboy and gone like, dude, that's a bit fucked up, he wouldn't have looked like such a prick when he left himself. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So because everything's in the media now, like, for example, you use someone like Stefan Struve, who's been with Bob from day one. He doesn't just train with Bob Schreiber, but he's always been with him. There's never any drama because even Bob said to him, why don't you try training with that guy? Why don't you do this? But that's because he loves him like a son and he has his best interest at heart. Whereas a lot of people, because since the Conor McGregor, the Brock Lesnar side of thing changed, it's all money. Everything's turned into more about how much they can rinse off someone. Does that make sense? And that, I mean, I know managers, when I used to do the banners, there's one guy, he's a fucking dickhead, but they used to do the banners and he would like bill out the banner. So let's say a banner would get you 10 grand in sponsorships from Wild Wings and fucking this company, that company, all the different sponsors that you get on the banner. Let's say you got 10 grand. He used to pass that off and be like, oh yeah, that's 4. So like, if you've got people like that in your corner, they're fully fucking Don Kinging you and doing a full title.
Well, there's a lot of times that people don't know about that.
This is it, but
for those,
right? Like they don't know.
Yeah, and they're the ones that need calling out because the problem is you then find, let's call him Mr. Dickhead, and you go up to Mr. Dickhead and he's like, I'm going to give you the moon on a stick, and you're like, that sounds good. I'll take a bit of the moon, thanks a lot. And before you know it, he's got his claws in, and you've already lost, I don't know, 20 grand.
Yeah, so like we started the conversation and what happened to Johnny Walker? Is he not that good? We don't know about his personal life. Yeah. So maybe he is this good. Maybe he is this natural freak and this amazing athlete, but we're not seeing this Mr. Dickhead that has his claws in and is messing up his life.
Exactly.
Same with John Jones. Who knows?
But that's it. I mean, the thing is...
Like, John Jones has become his own Mr. Dickhead.
Oh, that's a good one.
Say that again, because you broke up and I didn't get to hear what you said. Say again.
Skype censor.
Skype. He did a John Jones censor.
I'd repeat it, but someone had definitely said the soundbite and play it against me in a Q&A or something.
Okay.
I'll be on stage with John Jones and someone would go, is it right that you said this? And they'll put their phone out and put the mic up to the phone.
Yeah. Yes, I did say that. With his manager stood next to him going, which one of us is Mr. Dickhead?
Yeah.
No. You misunderstand me, dude.
I blame it on